2 and 3, Thursday on ESPN and Saturday on ABC. Thank you so much for joining us, Mike. Really appreciate it.
When I'm sitting at home and somebody plays that call like that, I'm like, who is that screaming fool?
No, I mean, that has become, maybe not in other places like Oklahoma City, but out here they love it.
No. It brings back great memories. I mean, that was an unbelievable game, an unbelievable season, and it's a shame that he still doesn't have heroics like that anymore, right?
Yeah, good tongue in cheek there, Mike. Let me just switch ahead to this series. I looked at the schedule, and it's every other game, and I'm looking at LeBron James, Anthony Davis, the Warriors' big three. How do you think does that favor any team? The fact that these games are coming so quickly.
No, I don't think so. Because, most of the veterans that we speak of on each team have been through all the playoff wars. They know how to take care of their body. I mean, obviously they're all a year older than last year, and, maybe it's a little extra care. But you're talking about mostly guys that have won championships that know exactly what it takes in terms of being ready for the next game, both physically and mentally. And that's always, for me, that's always been an underestimated part of winning the playoff battles. Yeah, you got to get your rest, et cetera, but it's being able to deal with the highs and lows of an unbelievable win or a demoralizing loss, and these guys have all been through it. So I don't think it favors one team over another.
Mike, I told my partner coming in, it's incredible what LeBron, and I know it's a team game, Mike, but what LeBron and Steph are doing at their ages. I just feel like Steph is closer to, if I want to dare say prime Steph, Mike, than LeBron is to prime LeBron. And that sounds crazy, but in that Memphis series, I saw LeBron a little gassed because, Memphis was young. How would you respond to that? Do you think it's a tie, or am I on to something?
Well, no, I actually think, Darryl, that they're both of them, and obviously LeBron's played a little longer, so he's number one now. It's the longest prime in NBA history.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is like, has he slowed down a little bit? Clearly. I mean, it's impossible not to, but he's still, when he's ready, when he's, in a big situation, he's still able to dominate a game, much like we saw the other night with Steph. The two of them just, it's not just the skill and not just the talent. It's what's above their shoulders. They're just two of the smartest players to ever play, two of the most competitive players to ever play. And it's all because of the work that they put into it, not only working on their skills, but working on their bodies as they get older. They know exactly what to do to get them ready. And that's not to say they're not going to stumble perhaps once or twice in this series or in, series whoever wins further on, but they'll do everything possible to make sure that they have a chance to compete at the level they do, which is higher than most people could ever dream of.
Mike Breen joining us on 95.7 The Game, ABC, ESPN. He'll be on the calls for games 2 and 3. Hey, we had Jeff Van Gundy on a few weeks back, and he was talking about the Warriors last year, and he said, to his way of thinking, it was the most improbable title in his lifetime or that he'd seen. And I agree with him. But here the Warriors are again. Seemingly, it would be more improbable this year for them to go back-to-back. But here they are. Do you give them more of a chance now than, I don't know, a few months back?
Oh, more now? Absolutely. I mean, there were stretches where you wondered, and this is the same for the Lakers, too. There were stretches that both of these teams wouldn't even make the play-in.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that real possibility. And just think about it, that the fact that at some point in the season, Golden State was what? They were a 500 team, I think, after 72 games. I think they were 36 and 36. And if with Wiggins was out still, and, you have one turned ankle, and all of a sudden you lose 4 in a row, and you're now in 11th in the West, which could have easily happened. So I think it's unbelievable. And that's why I've been doing this now. This is my 31st year calling NBA games. It's the most unpredictable season I can ever remember. And I remember saying before the playoffs that it wouldn't surprise me if many of the top seeds, like the NCAA tournament, would lose early on. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, we have a 5, 6, 7, and 8 seeds still remaining. It's and it's not just parity. A lot of it is circumstances. It's been a crazy year because from night in and night out, you didn't know who was going to play on a particular team, who was going to be available. And there's still that question mark on some of the series going on, whether it's Joel Embiid, whether it's Jimmy Butler, Julius Randle. And now with this series, it seems that both teams are finally healthy. And that's what I'm excited about. Now you're going to see the best of both the Lakers and the Warriors. They both had a good test in that first round. And now let's see how these two great teams filled with some of the best players in the game hopefully remain healthy and we get a great long series.
Man, Mike, I feel your excitement. I told my partner I need a straight jacket. That's how much I'm looking forward to this tonight. Let's talk about Anthony Davis, because we know the Warriors had their way with Sabonis. Looney was incredible. But, Mike, can you recall a season from a player like Anthony Davis who at one juncture this season, Mike, I was like, he's playing at MVP level. Then every time he hit the floor, you're like, oh, my God, he could be done. Talk about what this would mean if Anthony Davis can be that MVP version we saw from him early on.
Well, that's all it's ever been about him. The talent and the skill level it puts him as one of the most dominant players in the game. And he had that stretch earlier. It was a little before he had that foot injury and he missed the 20 games. You could make a claim that that's the best basketball he's ever played. LeBron James was out. They were like desperate. This was before they changed the roster. It was a team that was really struggling, and more so than the Warriors. So like the Lakers might not make it. And he was just magnificent. Then he gets hurt again, and that's always the question. And it's because of his size and the way he plays. For a guy that tall, he's up in the air a lot. We watch and marvel at Kevon Looney, but he doesn't get off the ground that much, so he's not going to get as hurt as much. Whereas Anthony Davis has more athleticism and jumping ability, so he's up in the air a lot. So the potential for injury is there more, or is more there, I should say. So, if he remains healthy, he's going to be a nightmare for Golden State. It's going to be a key to the series. But we've seen him this season, and even in the playoffs, he'll go one game where he's dominant, and the next game, the impact is minimal. So, to me, he's the key for the Lakers. If he's the dominant Anthony Davis, then it's going to be a tough fight for Golden State.
Mike Breen joining us on 95.7 The Game. He'll be on the call for games 2 and 3. That's Thursday and Saturday. Mike, let me ask you this about the coaching matchup. Steve Kerr's been around for a long time, and Darvin Ham is relatively new. Have you ever seen a situation where a coaching disparity really stands out? And how do you think these two coaches are going to match up against each other?
Yeah, no, it's to me this another underrated part of the NBA. So every year we talk about, this player, he came back this year and he's better. He's got a better handle. He's 10 pounds heavier, or he's 10 pounds lighter. He's the best shape of his life. He worked on his jump shot. He took 500 jump shots during the course of the summer. He's so much better. So we talk about that every year, about players who've improved their game. The same thing goes for coaches. The coaches come back, the ones that are really into their craft. They study tape. They talk to other coaches. They go to clinics, or they meet with other coaches and discuss strategies. They come back, they're better. And I don't think we talk about that enough, on how coaches improve every year. So, Steve Kerr has been in so many big games as a coach, so he's seen it all. Darvin Ham, who, if you ever have a chance to sit down with him, he's such a basketball junkie. He's got a great basketball mind. He's got people skills off the charts, and that's a huge part of being a head coach in the NBA today. But he certainly doesn't have the experience that Steve Kerr has. So he's got to go through that, the ups and downs. And now, is that saying that Steve has a definitive edge? No, but there's no question that he doesn't have the experience in a playoff series that Steve Kerr has, or some of the other coaches has, and it's something that you have to go through to get better at.
Well said, Mike. We were having some fun earlier about Curry and LeBron, their matchups in the finals, and did LeBron ever have the better team outside of the Kevin Durant years, because the Warriors were very top-heavy then. But going into this matchup, Mike, if I asked you how big is the gap either way, how would you answer that, or do you think they're even?
The gap in terms of the teams?
Yes, sir.
I think it's fairly even. But again, the funny thing is it's hard to evaluate just how good either team can be. I know that sounds silly to say as they go in the second round, but let's not forget Wiggins missed the last 25 games. Okay, so we don't know. He never really got a feel with some of the new guys that he's with. I mean, obviously, he has a feel for Draymond and Clay and for Steph, but it's still part of the whole development of the team. And now you look at Los Angeles; they really changed their roster at the All-Star break, and for a part of that time, LeBron James was out. So these teams are still developing chemistry. These teams are still getting better now that they're whole, and that's why it makes what I feel has made this whole first round of the playoffs very difficult to predict. So, with that said, I still think that they're very, very even, and I'm hoping that it's one of those classic series that goes 7 games.
Mike, thank you so much for joining us, especially on the spur of the moment, and we'll see you in the Bay, I guess, on Thursday.
You got it, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir. Mike Breen.
Bang!